This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Letterboxd.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com, more of our podcasts at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts, and you can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And in addition to all of that, you can also support us on Patreon at Patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer. At the minimum rate of $1 per month, you get access to an exclusive RSS feed with content recorded specifically for Patreon supporters. Tiny, we just recorded a very loose Patreon recording. How'd you feel about it?
Good, man,
nice. Good. Yeah, we talked a lot about the new season of The Twilight Zone, and did some stupid Hamilton stuff riffs,
of course,
which was fun. But yeah, so how are you doing, by the way, Tiny? Because for those who don't listen to our other podcasts, they have not heard from you in like a few months.
It's been a hot minute.
It has been. So How are you doing? What's new with you? And why don't people listen to our other shows?
Well, I now prefer to be called Antonia.
Nice.
I am trans. I'm kidding. No.
I don't know. Why would it be Antonio?
Antonia.
Oh, Antonia. Okay. I thought you said Antonio, and I was like, okay, I don't know.
Why can't it be Antonio? It's transphobic, Matt.
I didn't mean it. I'm sorry.
Canceled.
No, yeah.
No, but I've been good, man. I've just been, grinding her out. And, I've actually been watching some stuff a little bit.
Nice, which is why we're going to be doing an extended potpourri today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You have also been. It's not like you haven't been podcasting, though.
Right.
Like, we have been really working hard at doing a stand series on Tower Junkies, which we have 3 in the can. We also covered Castle Rock. And and then also you made a guest spot on Anthology in a special Between Seasons episode, so that was cool.
That was a cool episdo.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot, too. I've read like 4 books, 5 even, since the last time I was on.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so.
What are do you know offhand what the 5 are?
I would have to take a gander mountain at
Okay. Nice. Not a sponsor.
Is that even a company anymore?
I don't know, because I think... the one in Avon is a Dick's Warehouse now or something.
Yeah. So The Stand.
Oh, right, yes.
Read that one. Tribe by Sebastian Junger.
Tribe. Okay, we talked about that.
That's a super short one, so that one barely counts. And then Revival.
Nice.
Stephen King. I guess it's only...
We need to review that.
Yeah. I'm in my 4th book right now, I guess.
Nice.
Which is Alexander Hamilton by Ron Turner.
Nice.
Which is going to take a while because it's 35 hours long.
Yeah. I did something similar, which we'll talk more about. I think it'll... I don't know. Anyway. I had mentioned to you... And I haven't mentioned it to you again yet because I got distracted with something else. Anyway, Misery.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to do that and then review it on Tower Junkies. But
sure.
I didn't start re-listening to Misery because I've been listening to The Outsider, but I just started listening to Musashi.
Okay.
Yes.
When did Stephen King write that one?
He did not.
Oh.
So I've been really getting into Ghost of Tsushima, and Musashi is a very 53-hour book that is a dramatization of the life of Miyamoto Musashi, who was one of, if not the most famous and legendary swordsman of the, I think, Edo period of Japan. And I don't know, you don't remember Seven Samurai that well, do you?
A little bit here and there.
Okay, there was one character that I was really a big fan of, Kyuzo.
Right, he's kind of the main guy, isn't he?
No, you're thinking of Kikuchiyo.
Okay.
But Kyuzo was this guy that was just totally dependent on like his main focus was his swordmanship.
But isn't he played by Toshiro Mifune?
No, that's
Damn.
Kikuchiyo.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Anyway, Kyuzo is this guy that's like, he's like constantly like, he's 100% committed to his craft and his sword skills. Mm-hmm. Like there's a moment where like everyone is kind of hunkered down and not doing it. Like it's downtime at the farm, or the village. Mm-hmm. And like, he's like, it's raining. And then he's like, I'm going into the woods to practice. And like, it's just that, and like his character was modeled after Miyamoto Musashi.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, Toshiro Mifune though was in a trilogy of films that was adapted from this book. He played Musashi in those movies. Not directed by Kurosawa or anything, but I watched them earlier this year, and I'm hoping to review them on the website at some point. But
sweet,
yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good.
When was he around? Like that period? Was that like?
I think like late 1800s, maybe.
Okay,
I don't know when the actual. Because I don't know. As I'm getting more engrossed in like the samurai like movies and stuff, like there's a very distinct, like obviously like history of Japan.
Sure.
That I'm like, oh, okay. That I kind of would like to know the timeline of if I'm watching more.
Right.
Okay, so Miyamoto Musashi was alive from 1584 to 1645.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, it was like the 17th century.
Is that like feudal Japan?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which is my extent of feudal Japan, is that it was feudal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't studied Japanese history at all.
Right. So. Yeah, I don't know, but
interesting.
Samurai cast?
No.
Yeah, no. I would not be comfortable with that. Like, I would not have enough knowledge for anything remotely like that. I just like the movies.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm listening to that and cool. And also The Outsider. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Listening to Hamilton is making me want to. The book is making me want to beef up on my founding father history. As I read John Adams, and I read a book about George Washington. I read 1776 by David McCullough. Some of the other founding fathers I just don't know anything about really, and don't know much about them. And there's so many reading through Alexander Hamilton, like there's so many like committees and like we're having this convention and that convention and this person's on that convention, but only like there's like 50 people who were part of this convention, but they were all there at different times, and there was never more than like 20 of them there at one time. And I'm just like, jeez. And Hamilton was on like 7 of them, and it's just like, God. I can't keep it all straight. And like, what did they decide here? And you know, the big ones are like the Constitutional Convention, obviously, and the one where they ratified the Declaration of Independence. Can't think of it.
Constitutional Convention Part 2?
I can't remember. Yeah. But anyways, there's just so many of them. It's hard to keep it all straight, and who was on which one, and
right.
It's just crazy. Starting a country is kind of hard.
That is, from what I've heard, it sounds pretty difficult. I was going to say, and I'm sorry. The only thing that I know about the other founding fathers is that like every other founding father gets to grow old.
Every other founding father story gets told.
The story gets told. Yes, damn it. Anyway, so God, that song.
Yeah,
so good.
Oh man.
Anyway. So that's what we're reading.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before, and and maybe it was on Patreon last time. I don't know, but I talked about how I wanted to read more, like Revolutionary War, like startup country stuff. And one of the things that I didn't mention about that, or one of the reasons I don't think I mentioned, was that I think it would be fascinating to read multiple biographies of it, and like around that time, just to see how when writing about Alexander Hamilton, like Ron Chernow like had him the focal point and everything. But like, okay, someone else's biography, like Alexander Hamilton, is a guest actor,
right?
is a bit player in that, and like I just think it would be really interesting to see how each founding father is reflected in the stories or in the biographies.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I remember about the Washington biography that I read, which I think was also written by Ron Chernow.
I think so. Yeah.
One interesting thing is like he's one of the only founding fathers that like intentionally got rid of or like hid away a bunch of correspondence and writing. Between he and his wife, like he wanted to be somewhat private.
Yeah,
and so like especially I remember especially the correspondence between he and his wife. Like I think it was destroyed. Like nobody knows like what they were saying to each other while he was away at war for 8 years or whatever. Whereas like the John Adams Library in I think it's like Braintree, Massachusetts, has like literally thousands of pieces of correspondence just between John and Abigail Adams. Like they still have the paper, like the actual paper that they wrote on and sent across the fucking Atlantic Ocean that took 3 months to get there. Like
Jesus,
that's still that's crazy. But Washington has like none of that between he and his wife. He intentionally destroyed it. So
you might say that he took himself out of the narrative.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have no control who lives, who dies, who tells your story.
Tells the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ron Chernow pretty much tells
Ron Chernow does. Yeah. Apparently.
And David McCullough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. And I'll segue out of this.
Yeah. Sorry, we're getting bogged down here.
So yeah, like the correspondence that takes like 3 months to get it. Like that's the amount of time it takes to you to get back on the podcast.
I know, right?
Yeah. So yeah, what's you been up to?
Just stuff and things, you know.
Nice.
We were chatting with Mike on the pod chat today.
Yes.
I have seen like 6 or 7 movies that were released in 2020.
That is, yeah.
And we're in damn near the 8th month.
Yep.
Of the year. That's really bad.
If I could borrow a line from a movie that I wasn't really a fan of, The Wolf of Wall Street. Matthew McConaughey is like, those are rookie numbers. You need to bump those up. Yeah. That's crazy. I was going to mention, this is a perfect time to bring it up. If you want like an idea of like some movies that you can seek out and everything, Ben has been doing a ton of really good work on the website, contributing his reviews to the website, and almost exclusively his reviews have been 2020 releases.
Sweet.
So yeah, so he just today posted his review of Yes God Yes.
Yeah, I want to see that one.
Yeah, me too. I read his review and it's so like I'm very curious what you'll think of it, of the movie. Because what I loved about Ben's review is that it came from the perspective of someone who went through Catholic school and like went to like the retreats that are depicted in this movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool perspective to bring to his review.
That's what has me interested in it too.
Yeah.
Because I was in that world for a little while.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I know Ben is from Catholic school when we were kids.
Right.
So
yep.
Yeah, I want to see that one.
Nice.
But yeah, like on a whim, Paige and I just watched literally all of the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Kind of came out of nowhere. We just watched the good old Blu-rays. So
nice.
That has me wanting to reread the books.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah,
Harry Potter Coast.
New.
Have you been keeping up with what's it, J.K. Rowling's the whole?
I do not
internet
know a shred about it.
Oh, okay. I don't know much about it either, but she's apparently transphobic.
Right.
And like she's like, I don't know. One of the things that like came out was like she was like like I don't know. I don't have enough authority on it, but apparently she's like people are like super just upset because she is like legit like she keeps doubling down on her transphobic stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't realize that. I thought she said like one thing.
Oh no, she keeps doing it. And like she tweeted something that had she tweeted something that quote unquote accidentally included a copy and paste from like she accidentally pasted a part of an article about something about trans people that was derogatory toward them, I think. I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge to really talk about it, but
damn.
Yeah.
That's a shame because for years, when she was at the height of her fame, always was very progressive and very much in favor of gay rights and all that stuff. It's kind of strange.
It is strange, and it's funny that one of the tweets that I've seen, like people saying online, is that like, do you really are you really surprised that someone who names like all of these characters, like, oh, Hermione Granger and I'm trying to remember other characters' names.
Ron Weasley. Nymphadora Tonks.
Yes, they're perfect. Yeah. Nymphadora Tonks and everything. Like naming all of like McGonagall. Yeah, and like having all of these unique names and everything, and then names like the one Asian person, Cho Chang. Like, are you really surprised that she's intolerant of things?
That's funny.
Yeah. So not things. I don't mean it like that, but she's
right. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but anyway, that's been interesting.
Yeah.
Something else before we get into the extended potpourri. Something that happened, like there was, I guess, and you know me, I'm not really into Star Wars or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Although all the samurai movies I'm watching, I'm like, maybe I should revisit Star Wars because it has such a, I don't know.
Don't.
I know. But one night, so one night, a few nights ago, I saw, like, like I said, that I'm not big on Star Wars or anything, but Ray Park was trending on Twitter.
Okay.
And of course, Ray Park played Darth Maul
in
the Phantom Menace and stuff. And like there were rumors that he was going to reprise his role in a Disney Plus Darth Maul series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting, but that's not why he was trending. So this is, I don't have all like any notes or anything for us. So I'll just do it from memory. He was trending because he posted on Instagram a video of allegedly his wife performing fellatio on a stuntman or something. And it was like not a hack. It was not accidental. It was like revenge porn.
Wow.
And apparently he had also like commented on the stunt guy's like Instagram, like just like the most like high school, like, oh, I have beef with you kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then it was taken down. I haven't caught up with anything that went on after that or anything, but a lot of people were like, okay, well, I guess Ray Park isn't going to be in the Darth Maul series, if they do it.
Yeah.
So.
Damn, I had heard that they were going to bring Darth Maul into Mandalorian.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I had heard.
Okay.
I had never really looked into it.
Yeah. Did you ever finish Mandalorian?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay, I didn't.
Oh, really? You never finished it?
I never did, and I wanted to. Like, I want to. Like, I like the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one Star Wars property that I like, and to bring it back to samurai stuff, one of the last episodes I watched was the one that's basically a riff on Seven Samurai, where he's defending the village from the.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
like and like that that episode is why I bought Seven Samurai on Blu-ray. Like that's why I upgraded to Blu-ray.
Wow.
And also got Yojimbo and Sanjuro on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. Yeah, I just stopped after that. I think I watched the episode after that, and then I was just like, yeah.
Wow, yeah, I loved it. It was a great season.
Nice. It got Emmy nominations.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, which is cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Who knows if we'll get a season 2?
Oh, yeah.
Because of the virus.
Right. I was going to say, like, it's definitely getting a season 2.
I know.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So extended potpourri?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, we're going to go into extended potpourri. If this is your first time listening, I hope that this isn't too bad, but not that it's bad. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, if this is your first time listening, Potpourri is a section of the podcast where we basically wind down and talk about stuff that we've watched lately, stuff that we're into, stuff that we're looking forward to. The kind of tagline of Potpourri is whatever we want as long as it smells good. And sometimes, occasionally, we do extended Potpourri, where we basically take the Potpourri section and expand it to its own full episode. And I figured that since Tiny has not been on the Obsessive Viewer in nigh on 3 months, this would be a perfect opportunity for us to just chat about what we've been watching the last couple months, I guess. So, Tiny, since you haven't been on that much, why don't you get us kicked off? What do you have for your Potpourri?
So the first movie I was going to bring up was The Gentleman.
Interesting.
The latest film from Guy Ritchie. This movie really was not on my radar at all. I think it kind of tanked. But his movies, at least his non-big franchise movies, are kind of lower budget. They're not really meant to be big, huge blockbuster movies.
Right.
So financially, I don't really know much about it or anything, but I feel like I just never really heard anything about this movie. It wasn't really on my radar or anything. But a few months ago, was looking for something to watch, and I was like, oh, that's right, that's the Guy Ritchie movie. I mean, I love Guy Ritchie. I want to see it. And turns out it was some nice, totally vintage Guy Ritchie type filmmaking, which I'm glad he kind of got back into. It's very much in the vein of Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Rock and Rolla, those kinds of movies. And I love all three of those movies. It's sort of a mysterious whodunit noir blend kind of thing. Okay. Which is sort of how I would describe those movies. They don't fit into a box. But it was just really fun. I just love his style. Okay. And the way he chooses to tell a story. Nice. It has a great cast. Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Michelle Dockery, Colin Farrell, Henry Golding, who's kind of blowing up. Oh, yeah. British Asian gentleman.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes, Crazy Rich Asians. It was really cool to see him in this because he plays like a bad guy, basically. Okay. So he wasn't really... He was also in that... I think it was him. That the movie... I can't remember what it was called. With Anna Kendrick and Ryan Reynolds' wife.
A Simple Favor?
A Simple Favor, yeah.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah. So he was good, but again, kind of like a wholesome, clean-cut kind of guy, and so he was, it was cool to see him play like a bad guy in this. Nice. I liked that. And then Hugh Grant was really funny. Nice. I loved Hugh Grant in this movie. So, yeah, just, it was interesting seeing, an American actor playing an American in one of his movies.
Oh, interesting.
His movies are so distinctly British.
Right.
And it made me think of... His movies make me think of that sketch from SNL.
I just watched that sketch last night, just randomly.
So funny. Yeah. Because that's the movie they're making fun of is Guy Ritchie type movies. And so, it's just funny to have an American... Matthew McConaughey's not only American, he's from Texas, and he's got that a little bit of that twangy drawl to him. So that was kind of a fun twist. But I don't have a lot to say about it other than that. Just that if you're a Guy Ritchie fan, you will really dig the movie. Nice. Yeah.
And did you rent it?
Yeah, we watched it on Amazon, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sketch. I don't know. Okay, it's don't go round and round to Rero. And it's so great. I'm gonna play a clip of it for it because it's so great.
Terry Donovan spent 17 years in an English prison.
Do you really feel that you're rehabilitated, Mr. Donovan?
Yeah, that's right.
And vowed to turn away from a life of crime.
I got a job for you, Terry. Nah, Dove, I don't do that kind of thing anymore.
but he'll pick up a gun once again to defend the only thing he loves.
If you don't do what we say, Charlotte's here and it now, not right you.
The critics are raving British, extremely British. I didn't understand what they were saying.
Never mind, open up and die for you.
From the producers of Sexy Beast, The Red Riding Trilogy, and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Birthday, you!
And the director of Here's He Is Round a Bend and Gruff, alright? Comes the toughest, grittiest, most British crime drama of the year.
Don't go round me, Row.
Don't you go round and round to reroll. What?
Oh, so great.
So great.
I got a job for you, Terry.
I don't really do that kind of thing anymore.
Oh, so
I love
great.
the voiceover in it too. The one guy's like, the one guy, Gypsy or Crispy, he was good.
Oh, yeah,
Like the
yeah.
voiceover in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So great.
He was good. Gypsy or Crispy, I don't know.
Go rough, all right? I will, like, that was, like, years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, in between the time that first came out and, like, now, I will randomly say, like, anytime, like, not anytime, but, like, when I'm agreeable with something, like, in my head, occasionally it would say, like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
I just can't help it. So anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, that's such a great sketch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting because Fecus, he gifted me the digital copy of The Gentleman. It's weird because it was like only on iTunes. So I have it, and because he and I were supposed to review it, and then COVID hit.
Oh, okay.
And we just never did. So he and I are actually going to record tomorrow.
Sweet.
Euro.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be, spoiler for next time, but we're going to be reviewing, oh my God. Palm Springs and The Old Guard, I think.
Okay. Cool.
On Netflix. So yeah, and we'll talk about The Gentleman probably. I don't know. I won't have time to see it, so I'll have him talk about it.
You're not like a huge Guy Ritchie fan or anything, but you don't dislike him either.
Yeah, that's right. No, yeah, I'm not a huge Guy Ritchie fan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you ever see his King Arthur movie?
I fell asleep during it.
Okay, nice.
My wife liked it well enough, though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Should I bring up mine?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, my first potpourri for this episode. I don't have anything really planned, so I'm just looking at my Letterboxd. It's funny because so many of these are stuff that I have reviewed or am going to review, so I need to kind of parse it out. I've already talked too much about samurai movies. I rewatched Popstar.
Nice.
Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Yeah.
Holds up really well. I don't have much to say about it, but I will say that it's kind of unique. In a weird way. This is really not good podcasting, but last year, in July, I think, or maybe June, I saw Seven Samurai in the theater at the Artcraft Theater. And then, weirdly enough, the next movie that I saw was Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. And, like, it was a rewatch of that. And then now, a year later, I watched Seven Samurai, and then, just completely by coincidence, like, not planned at all, the next movie I watched was Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Wow.
So it's weird. I don't know what to make of it, but there are so many just great, like, comedic beats in Popstar.
Yes.
The whole B segment that is a riff on the whole like documentary style of like, to put the cameras away and just having a blank screen and having dialogue. It's just like, it's a brilliant send up of that. And it's great. The music is great. The reason why I watched it was that I fell down a rabbit hole one night and I was just watching Lonely Island videos and listening to Lonely Island songs as I was like putting off going to sleep. And just, there are so many songs of theirs that I just adore.
Yeah.
Just super clever. But the soundtrack for Popstar, Never Stopping, I would say it's as good as pretty much any Lonely Island album, but
Yeah.
I don't think like a Lonely Island album is less than Popstar's soundtrack, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like the songs aren't, I don't know. I liked it. But yeah, just the there's, and Andy Samberg is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, in the music video for the song from Popstar, Fuck Bin Laden, is so great. And I love the lyrics of that. It's just so clever.
Yeah.
Because the premise of the song is that he's hooking up with a woman who, once, like the repeated, lyric is, I want you to fuck me like we fucked Bin Laden. And there's one moment in the song where, she's like, where he's like, and she told me that she wanted me to invade her cave, and I was like, he wasn't in a cave. And just like the way that like the facial expression on Andy Samberg's face in the music video for that, and like the way it's just like he's trying to keep up with him with what's going on. He's just like, but he wasn't in a cave. Like, I don't know, something about that just really, really hits me.
It is really brilliant.
Yeah, and Popstar is just really great. Popstar is amazing, and something that I don't forget about this, but it's something I want to highlight with this rewatch is, I think it's Chris Redd. He plays Hunter the Hungry, I think, the kind of guy the rapper that they bring on for the tour as an opening act.
Okay.
And like his timing and his like just what he brings to the role, he's like this very unhinged, crazy dude. And like there are moments where like his eyes get really wide and like he says something that's just batshit crazy. And it's like a dangerous crazy. And like, I love it. I loved his performance in this movie. And like, there's a moment toward the end where, like they're competing on stage. Like they're trying, like, Andy Samberg Connor for real. He is like trying to get on stage, and Chris Redd's character is taking up the time. But like they have like an argument on stage, and then like there's a moment where Chris Redd is just like, it was me, calling back to something earlier, and that's kind of a spoiler, but whatever. But his eyes get really, really wide, and it's amazing, and it's like. The callback to that, like the scene setting that up, is like they're trying to figure out what happened that was an embarrassing thing that happened to Connor on stage. And like the back and forth between Chris Redd's character and Andy Samberg is just amazing, because he's like, did you do this? And then he's like, no, I didn't. Maybe I did. Did I do it? Maybe I did. It's something I would do it. Maybe I did, but I don't know if I didn't. I don't know. It's just like he goes, it's really funny. I don't know. I love it.
Nice. So. I remember loving the movie and the music especially.
Oh yeah.
I've only seen it the one time. It's been a while.
Nice. It is on my Vudu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that actually.
Nice. So yes, that's my first potpourri.
Sweet.
Yeah. Popstar, Never Stopping.
Nice.
Yeah. What's next up on your list?
Next up for me was the movie Midway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nice. Kind of a classic Roland Emmerich movie.
Right.
Getting back into those disaster movies.
Yep. Why I never saw it.
Yeah. So, it does, it's in that vein, and it has that effect to it, but it's substantially different than, Independence Day and Day After Tomorrow and all that stuff. It's
2012.
Not, right. It's not that movie. It's different. Because it's telling a true story about, an actual battle in World War II. But what I really appreciated about it is being a fan of history, I really didn't... I knew very, very little about this battle.
Okay.
And it was so integral and so important to the war, and I just knew very little about it. And also being a fan of history, war historians will tell you that naval warcraft is like just boring as shit.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, like they'll tell you there, because it's funny because, you know, back in the day, at least, the naval ships would they kept a log of every time they turn the wheel, like there's a log and someone records it. So you can literally sit there and read the two different logs of the battling ships, and you can have a full narrative story of what happened.
Wow.
But it's ship turned right, fired cannons, and ship turned left and fired this cannon, and it's
is it B4?
Yeah, it's like Battleship. Yeah,
D3?
That's probably where the game came from. Honestly, it's probably some guy who was in the Navy and had $1 million idea.
Jeez.
But so I've never really looked at naval history, and I've just that's kind of I guess an inside joke with war historians is oh great, a naval battle, it's just boring as shit. But I really respected the movie because it takes something that's notoriously boring and weaves it in together with all these other storylines and gives you interesting characters and incredible spectacle with the way that Roland Emmerich does, you know, and made it a really great story and just fully compelling. And I was in it all the way. It felt very, lofty and patriotic, but not not false patriotism, I guess. It was it was very inspired.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. It was very inspired.
Nice.
And it's one of those stories where we truly overcame, I mean, not we, but you know what I'm saying? These soldiers and airmen truly overcame the odds and did something miraculous that some people have never done since and had never done before. And it's just such a cool story.
Nice.
I'm just really glad that I actually have some knowledge of what happened there now, and it's such a pivotal moment in that, you know, the greatest conflict the planet's ever seen.
Wow.
It was just really cool. I really enjoyed the shit out of it. It has a phenomenal cast again.
Oh yeah.
The star is kind of Ed Skrein, who is probably most famous for Deadpool, the villain in Deadpool. But then Patrick Wilson, Woody Harrelson, Luke Evans, Mandy Moore, Dennis Quaid, Aaron Eckhart, the Nick Jonas, who was really good actually.
Oh wow.
He was in the Jumanji movie.
Oh, okay.
He's getting into acting now apparently, and I just didn't think much of him then, but he did a pretty good job in this movie. I was really surprised.
Okay.
But the standout for me was actually Dennis Quaid.
Oh wow.
He played William Bull Halsey. He was admiral is the highest rank in the Navy. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's an admiral of one of the ships, like an aircraft carrier.
Gotcha.
And I am not a Dennis Quaid fan.
Yeah, I'm hit or miss with him.
Yeah, I've never been blown away by him.
Yeah. He seems to kind of bring the same energy and do the same thing every role he takes. Right.
Definitely not a bad actor though.
Right.
Never would say that about him, but just never latched onto him. And he didn't blow me away in this movie, but he was really good. I just thought he embodied just a gruff, rugged kind of guy really well. Just an old Navy man. Nice. I really dug that. He did a good job, but yeah, it's a really cool movie. And there's all this, you know, I feel like there's all this stuff that's supposed to be boring. Patrick Wilson's character is like an intelligence officer. Okay. It's he gathers intelligence. It's they're literally breaking codes and they're trying to strategize when this attack's going to happen. And there's all these politics involved and all this guesswork. And it's so much strategizing. You would really think that it would drag the movie down, but they managed to, it was written by Wes Took. Yeah. Managed to just weave it all together really well to where it just didn't lag anywhere. It definitely wouldn't have made a top 10 list or an honorable mention it came out last year. But it was just a really cool movie.
Nice. How were the visual effects and everything? Cause anytime I see a Roland Emmerich movie and this goes to, I mean, even as recent as, Independence Day Resurgence. The thing that sticks out to me is he utilizes green screen, and this was atrocious in 2012, the movie 2012, but he uses green screens, and it's they don't know how to light it. Like, it looks like it's just like against a backdrop of like, it looks like just amateur hour. And I'm like, every time I see it, and I see it in multiple movies of his, which is why I've avoided Midway like the plague, like Corona. But like, every time I see it, I'm like, this is a multiple $1 million production.
Yeah. And
they didn't spring for like time on this particular aspect of it. So how were the visual effects, and did they stick out to you in any negative way or positive way?
It was positive for me.
Midway.
Nice. It was positive for me, but that kind of stuff doesn't stick out to me unless it's like really egregious.
Yeah.
In like 2012, that movie, like, I know the effects weren't top notch, but they didn't bother me. Like, I don't remember the bad effects in that at all.
Yeah.
It just doesn't jump out to me. So if you watched it, there may be some things that you may not have liked about it, but there's, in particular, the main character sort of, he's kind of the thread through all the stories is Ed Screen's character, Richard Best, who like is still the only person. They have a nice. They talked about all the real people, the real world people at the end of the movie, and like showed their picture and their accomplishments, and he's still like the only person to ever take out 2 major targets in a single day.
Wow.
And that involves dive bombing. Like, they go almost straight down and drop one single bomb onto a ship while every Japanese person in the world is shooting guns at them.
Jesus.
And the visual was so fucking cool. It was like a video game. I loved it. The color was just like explosions. I mean, but it was explosive color. That's the way I would explain it. Just all these bombs going off, and he's just fighting through this. It looks impossible, which I have no idea if that's how it looks like in real life, but I don't care. It was amazing in the movie. And there's a lot of that in the movie.
Wow.
I thought that was such a cool way to film it. And it's CGI, you know, like, I don't think almost any of it was practical.
Right.
But that's fine with me. It was really effective for me. So,
nice.
But you may feel differently if you see it eventually.
I might check it out. I know it's on HBO right now.
Yeah, that's how we watched it.
Yeah. So I will see.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. It's another Roland Emmerich disaster movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really dug it, though. I mean, it checked a lot of boxes for me, so it's kind of a personal thing too. So
okay,
yeah, it was great.
Cool, awesome. Well, should I go next?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I went on kind of a tear. Last, I think it was Friday or Thursday. It was Friday. So I decided to watch Strangers on a Train, and then I followed that up with Psycho, and then I followed that up with Sabotage, and then The Lady Vanishes, and then a day later I watched North by Northwest. I went through a run of a lot of Hitchcock movies, and man, I want to highlight a couple of them because it'll take too much time to talk about all of them, but Strangers on a Train. Have you seen Strangers on a Train?
I have not.
Okay. I saw it once before, but long ago, so I did not remember a lot of it. Really, like, just when people are of a legendary stature, like Alfred Hitchcock is, you kind of, I don't want to say like, oh, it's like it's blowing up his legacy and everything. It's not like elevating it or anything like that. I'm not trying to cast aspersions or anything, but when you hear like, oh, he's the master of suspense, it's like, okay, that's an interesting moniker, sure, whatever. But and that's evident in all of the Hitchcock movies that I've seen, like Psycho and everything. But Strangers on a Train has such a great command of that mounting tension, and the interplay between the two leads is so just hypnotizing. Like, in particular, basically, just for those who don't know, it's a psychotic socialite confronts a pro tennis star with a theory on how 2 complete strangers can get away with murder, a theory that he plans to implement. So it's such, I kind of thought of it going into it. I didn't remember much of it. I thought, oh, it's about 2 people on a train who devise the perfect murder where they each murder the other person's victim, so they can't be traced back to him.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, this is what I'm going into. This is what I know it to be about. But it's not about that. Oh. It's about Bruno Antony, played by Robert Walker. He's the psychopathic socialite that approaches the pro tennis player, played by Farley Granger. So, Bruno Antony is an incredible villain. Like, this movie came out in 1951, so obviously it's like 10 years before Psycho, and Norman Bates is iconic and everything. But Bruno Antony, the way that Robert Walker plays this role is so magnetic. Like, he is so deranged, but he plays it not as like a scary character or anything. He's just magnetic, and he is so borderline charming. And it's this derangement that's in his performance that just drives the tension so well, because the way it plays out is that he does the murder and ropes he ropes the co-lead into kind of a lifeboat of a situation. And they kind of go north by northwest all over the place. And I don't know. Anyway, there's this whole family plot that sorry.
Stop.
Okay. I hope that didn't give anyone vertigo. So anyway, he ropes him into this plot. Like, he's it's kind of the standard, like, oh, well, you know, you're complicit in this crime and everything, so you need to do this and everything. And it's so intimidating in a very deranged, psychotic way. And the way that the movie uses, like, this carousel at specific high points in the movie, like, there are two big set pieces with the carousel. It's so stunning, and just the way that it plays out, the way that Alfred Hitchcock communicates that through the camera is just stunning. And also Robert Walker, to like, there's a moment where after he's committed the crime, he sees something that reminds him of the crime, and it's like, it is one of the most, like, interesting depictions of, like, psychosis and psychotic tendencies and everything, and just a killer on film. I think that Robert Walker played it so well. It's a really good movie.
Sweet.
So, yeah. I recommend it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And then, I do have a couple more that I want to talk about. Is it okay?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay. So, I watched Strangers on a Train, and let's see, Sabotage was okay. The Lady Vanishes was pretty cool. North by Northwest. Have you seen North by Northwest?
Yes.
Okay. Insanely good.
Really, really good movie.
I had seen it before, I think.
I think I was like a teenager the last time I saw it.
Yeah, me too. It's weird. I didn't mark it as a rewatch on Letterboxd, but anyway, now I did. So, it is just incredible. I went on this Twitter kind of, not rant, but I tweeted out a thread of tweets all about the crop duster scene, which when I saw it when I was a kid, I didn't really put together how just masterful it is.
Yeah.
But holy crap, it is a perfect example of what people mean when they say Alfred Hitchcock was a master of suspense.
Yeah.
Like, every component of that sequence is a masterstroke. It is insane, because we have a character that we know has been led to this particular place in a malicious way. Like, he doesn't know that the bad guys know that where he's going to be. And so we go into the scene knowing that, oh, he is about to be killed. And it is such an inversion of what you would expect. It's the opposite. It's this wide open, desolate cornfield in Indiana. Shout out to our state.
Nice.
And it's just this wide open thing. Hitchcock shows us this, establishes it as this desolate place, and then we see the crop duster in the background and we hear it just faintly. And then after that, it's mostly silent throughout the rest of it. And it escalates as the scene unfolds. Leading up to the crop duster. So I'll walk us through it a little bit because I was just so floored by it. So he's standing there all alone. The bus has dropped him off. He's completely alone. He sees one car come up. The whole premise is that he is about to meet the secret agent that he has been mistaken for. And it's going to sort everything out. But little does he know that people are about to come to try to murder him. Mm-hmm. So he sees a car. It's this white, small van that comes up. And he thinks that it's him, but it's not. It's just a decoy. It's just a misdirection. And then after that is from the opposite side, from the opposite direction, is this black, I don't know if it's a Cadillac or whatever, but it's like a black car that I associate with like mobsters and stuff, like that type of big boat ass car. And it's coming up from the other direction after the other car is gone. So he's away again. Thornhill is away. Cary Grant is by himself again. The car comes up. It's not anything to do with him either, so that's fine. And then again, from the first direction, from the other direction, after we've reestablished that he's all alone again, we see a big ass semi come by, and it's like we get that just fear, that tension has been escalating. And then after that, again, another misdirect. It's misdirect. Then a car pulls up from across the street by the cornfield, and a guy comes out and stands across the street. And so it's like, okay, well, this is Kaplan. This is the guy he's meeting and everything. This is what's going on. So he goes over and talks to him. The guy has no clue what he's doing. He's just waiting for the bus. And then and I know I'm just kind of getting in the weeds here, but I just think this is just masterful. So the guy leaves on the bus, and we see Thornhill, played by Cary Grant, is now alone again, and he's watching the bus leave. This is his out. This is his escape. He could have escaped it, but he's gone. And then after that, we get another establishment that he's alone and everything. And then it's not until then that we even really register the crop duster. And it's just slowly comes up, slowly bears down on him. And it is an explosion of sound. Because up until then, it's been mostly quiet and everything, and then it's just boom. It's overbearing in the soundtrack, just the sound of the plane. And it cuts across and it runs him down a few times and makes a few attempts, and each time it's a different escalation. First he jumps into the ditch to get cover from it, and then he goes into the cornfield, and then the plane comes back around and starts dusting the crops of it to get him, to poison him and everything. And then I don't think it's until after that we get the iconic scene of him running away from the plane as it's coming down on him again. Yeah. And it's just and then the way it ends, I won't give it away, but another vehicle comes up, and it's masterful. It's just that escalating tension throughout all of those pieces was just insanely good. And the visuals too. Yes. Yeah, visually. Oh yeah. It was coming back to me as you were telling it. Yeah. Because it's been so long since I watched it. I was so excited about it. Yeah. And the rest of the movie I love. And something that I picked up on, and then it's what other people have said about it and everything. So it's not a unique thought or whatever, but it's amazing because this movie came out in 1959. It was 3 years before Dr. No, the first James Bond movie. Mm-hmm. And North by Northwest is a James Bond movie. Right. It is the precursor to the James Bond franchise. And it's just, I don't know, something about Hitchcock doing this spy thriller, which is not something that he was unfamiliar with. There's a lot of spy movies in his catalog, mm-hmm. but doing this very fun movie star spy thriller thing with Cary Grant, and Ava Marie Saint is insanely good in this. Just so good. Yeah. I love this movie. I've rated it 5 stars. I was so excited about it. That's awesome. Yeah, it's great. I know what you're talking about too with the way that Hitchcock uses silence. Yes, because he does it in a lot of his suspense movies. Because
So we tend to think of like, this buildup of music and a crescendo as actually being tense, but really the silence is more tense and more thrilling than anything else. And it makes me think of the movie Rear Window. Oh yeah. The climax, which we watched last year, I want to say, for the podcast.
Did we watch it for the podcast?
I thought we talked about it.
We did. I know we definitely watched it.
Yeah. Because this is the first time I'd ever seen it. I had never seen it before.
Wow.
But in the crescendo or the climax of that movie, there's like an action scene, and it's very silent.
Nice.
And I just remember thinking that, like, wow, the use of sound is so cool in this, and there's so much going on. You would expect some dialogue or some quips or a bunch of noise, but it was just the way that he uses the silence is so cool. So cool. Yeah. It's amazing. And yes, we talked about Rear Window in episode 250, which was our IMDb top 250 picks. So each picked, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You picked that for me to watch.
Yes, and you picked The Elephant Man for me to watch.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, North by Northwest is amazing. Rear Window is amazing as well. I need to revisit that also.
Yeah.
I've been going through such a kick of, again, and I did this earlier this year, but so Tiny, Barnes & Noble, by the time this episode posts, it'll be ended because it ends on August 2nd, I think, but Barnes & Noble has their annual 50% off Criterion sale.
Whew.
I've bought like 8 of them.
Oh my gosh.
It's insane. I bought Stagecoach, because I'm planning that for an episode later in the year. Foreign Correspondent. I'm blanking on so many of them now. Rebecca, another Hitchcock movie.
Okay.
Hang on, let me see. I have them here. Okay. So I bought The Blob and this movie called Gate of Hell, a Japanese movie. Stagecoach, the original 310 to Yuma, The Lady Vanishes, Foreign Correspondent, and Rebecca.
Wow.
And I think something else, but I can't remember. But anyway, so I've been on a kick from that, and man, Criterion releases are just insanely cool.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So anyway, I've been watching some Hitchcock, and Tiny, what do you have next for Potpourri?
Well, I think we can both talk about it.
Finally, okay.
Yeah. The Vast of Night.
Yes.
From Amazon.
Okay, so I reviewed it with Ben a few episodes ago. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
But I loved it. So tell me what you thought of The Vast of Night.
Man, it was a really cool movie. Highly stylistic. Just tons of style to it, but just to get it out of the way, the lighting just drove me nuts.
Oh, interesting.
Really drove me nuts because I was like,
what about the lighting?
I was like, what does this guy look like? I can't see this guy's face. Like, it's so dark. The whole movie was so freaking dark.
Really?
It kind of drove me nuts.
Wow.
I couldn't tell. Like, if I saw any of the actors walking down the street, I would not know who they are.
Really?
Yeah, because it was just so dark. The lighting just drove me nuts.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But other than that, it was a really damn good movie.
Nice.
Just especially the opening sequence, which is sort of like a long take, kind of a camera following a character through the warm up of a basketball game.
Yeah,
that was so cool, and just
so
like
cool.
all the attention to detail and the continual rapid dialogue.
So good.
That you don't even lose track of it. Like it's, you would think it would be like Aaron Sorkin walk and talk, kind of like,
Right.
okay, what did they just say there? Did we miss something? Like, but it really wasn't. It was rapid, but still digestible, I guess.
Yeah, very conversational. And,
Yeah.
But just drenched in like the best type of wit, and
Yes.
the back and forth was so good.
The wittiness of the main character was like one of my favorite parts.
Oh, me too.
Because he's such like a vintage radio guy.
Yeah.
Just like with so much personality. Everett, that was his name.
Yeah.
Played by
I
Jake
mentioned
Horowitz.
that. Yeah, I mentioned this before, and it's going to be, the repetition is annoying, but I was so tickled by this. His name is Everett Sloan. And I've mentioned this to you on the podcast before, but anyway, Everett Sloan is the name of the actor who played Franklin in The Fever in the original Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, something that struck me about that I don't think I mentioned, like he's like you said, he's like the quintessential like kind of 50s radio DJ guy, but I'm like, he's so cool. Like,
he is.
He's like the coolest guy, and I was so just taken with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a scene later in the movie where, oh God, what is the girl's name? Faye. She goes in to a house to get her sister, or her baby cousin, or sister or brother, and the person that's there watching the kid is like, oh, is that radio guy out there? And then just the way that Faye's like, yeah, stop smiling, stop smiling. Like it's so charming. Like the chemistry between them was just insanely good.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, what else did you think of it?
Yeah, so the movie just had such a... It's amazing what they achieved by showing us so little.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's amazing it's the writing more than anything, but also just the dialogue and the acting was just so cool because basically aliens are hanging around this town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's these characters kind of slowly discovering that and coming to that realization. But you don't see them. It's all transmitted in dialogue, and it's all conveyed through body language, and there's some very kind of Hitchcockian tense moments where they're kind of racing across town to go do this thing or like interview this person or get this thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's you just feel like something's going to jump on the screen, and it never does, and that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
Like it's just this buildup of tension, and the stakes are just high the whole time. It's so cool. And it's set in this like this backdrop of like 1950s, 1960-ish, sort of post-war, right when science fiction is really kind of peaking. Yeah. Or it's not peaking, but it's taking off.
Exploding, yeah.
It's becoming a very established subgenre in the 50s is when science fiction really took off. And it's just set in that backdrop, and then it has this... I'm not even sure what they were going for. If they wanted, I don't know if the filmmaker wanted us to think we were sort of watching a Twilight Zone science fiction theater type story, like we were being immersed in one, or if it was just a cool effect or kind of a nod to those. I don't know what they were going for, but it was kind of a cool homage to to vintage sci-fi, like science fiction theater or Twilight Zone or stuff like that.
Absolutely. Like that. Yeah. That's what floored me about it.
Right.
Like I was so floored by it. Yeah, I loved it. You can listen to my review and read my review. I wrote a review of it.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
As well. But yeah, I really, really, really dug that movie. There's one or a couple of sequences that I was just gobsmacked by the artistry of it. Mm-hmm. It's that like single take zoom through the town from one location to another and then to another location leading up to the radio station. And like I paused it the first time I saw it, and I was just like, this must be tweeted. And I tweeted about it. But like I looked at it, like I was so fascinated because I was like, how? Like, because this is the filmmaker's first movie.
Oh wow.
And I was blown away by that.
Damn.
And apparently the way that they did that was they strapped a camera onto a go-kart. And they did that. But even that, like, that's great for just going from one location to the other. But, like, it's so seamless the way that the camera, like, detaches from the go-kart with, like, unbeknownst to the viewer, and then just floats into the gymnasium, goes through the gymnasium, like all the cross-talking of different characters and the basketball players and stuff, and then up the bleachers and then through the window, and then back outside and then over to, like, it's just, I was blown away by it. I thought that was great.
Such cool camera work.
Yeah, I was so impressed by that.
Yeah. And then one scene that also is worth mentioning and kind of jumps out is where they go interview a local person about her experience with extraterrestrials, basically.
Yeah.
The character is Mabel, played by Gail Croner. I like had chills during her telling her soliloquy, her story. I could not take my eyes off of her.
Right.
That performance and that writing in that scene is just amazing. It's a very static camera.
Yep.
It's just sitting there and she's just doing her thing. Just hitting her performance out of the park, nailing these lines, just emotion falling off her face, these pallid eyes that she has. That I was blown away. That was like an Oscar-worthy performance in like 5 minutes of screen time.
Totally.
So incredible. I loved that scene.
Oh, yeah.
So cool.
That, and another kind of mark for the performances and stuff is like, there's this just, again, it's all in service to the energy of the movie and the tension and everything, but like all of the tension and all the characters, they, even when they're doing like kind of innocuous things, like, or it's all in service of the tension, and that like Sierra McCormick, when she's doing, as Faye, she's doing the phone operator stuff, just the way that she's like taking the plugs out and plugging them into different places and stuff. It's this like, there's a rapidness to it, but it's like a controlled rapid energy. Yeah. Because it's like you can tell how like second nature this is to the character. And I think I heard that the actress had been like would practice that any chance she could get, so that she could really nail down just the way that make sure that it seems so natural, and like
it was like a dance.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like it's a choreography unto itself, and it's like it's so just like the energy is just so good. I loved it.
Yeah, this was a really cool movie.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell my dad about it. I think he'd love it. I had no idea it was the guy's first movie. Yeah, it's super impressive. Definitely. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Nice. Yeah. I rated it 4 stars. Okay. Yeah, 4 stars. I've already seen it twice, so I could see that growing to maybe a 4.5. Nice. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd, and then 8 on IMDb. So sweet. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah. Nice. So, should we kind of start winding down a little bit? Yeah, we can wind down. Okay. Okay. Yeah, one more each. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, what should I pick? Okay, kind of in that same vein. I'll probably talk more about it on Patreon later, but The War of the Worlds from 1953. Nice. So, The War of the Worlds, it was recently released on Criterion, and I had previously seen this movie back in 2015 or 16. I don't remember when, but it was at the Artcraft Theater. They had the big Sci-Fright Frenzy I've referenced before, just many different movies spread over 2 days. God, I love that place. But anyway, War of the Worlds was on it, and that's the only time that I saw it. So when the Criterion came out, I snatched it because I want to expand my science fiction viewing a lot more, and I have very long-term plans for anthology. So yeah, I need to kind of I'm collecting these movies. So The War of the Worlds, of course, is based on H.G. Wells' novel. The residents of a small town are excited when a flaming meteor lands in the hills until they discover it is the first of many transport devices from Mars. This movie holds up pretty well for me. I remember really liking it just in the concept level. Like, I've never read the book or heard Orson Welles' radio play of it, but this rendition of it is something that every time I revisit it, it kind of grows on me each time. Mm-hmm. And I've got to say, like, I saw it on 35mm back at the Artcraft, but seeing it here on Blu-ray, like, the Criterion is insane, but it is just
beautiful, like immaculate. And it just really, it pops on screen. The sound design of it is just insanely cool.
Nice.
And I really loved it. Or I really loved the experience of watching it. The movie itself, the plot itself is a little flimsy. And then like the ending is kind of, it's interesting because like, I don't know if you know, have you ever seen it?
No, I've just seen a Tom Cruise one.
Okay. Yeah, it is on my Vudu. But the ending kind of comes not necessarily out of nowhere, but it's a unique ending and everything. But all I'll say is that it's interesting seeing it and equating it to how like M. Night Shyamalan did Signs, because it's clear like he was influenced by that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool, and I also watched it with the commentary track on it, and it was really cool. The commentary was done by a couple of people, or a few people. One is Joe Dante, the director.
Okay.
And it was really cool. It was really insightful. There was something that I keep thinking about anytime I hear kind of the older generations talk about movies and everything, is that like the thing that I kind of keep playing in my head is that I think my goal in life is to live long enough to where I can be like an older man who feels confident enough in my opinions to refer to movies as pictures. Because I don't know, I'm just super charmed by that.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, anyway, War of the Worlds 1953 Criterion set is really good. Very beautiful transfer of it. It's just really good.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you've seen the Tom Cruise one. I rewatched that after this, and I was kind of like, it doesn't hold up for me. How did you feel about it?
I haven't seen it in years, but I remember liking it a lot, actually.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. It was Spielberg, too, right?
Yeah, Spielberg. The thing that I found kind of fascinating about it is that it is very, very clearly a post 9/11 movie. It was made in 2005, and it has a lot of... It's a fascinating movie to watch as a reaction to 9/11. Like, this came out 4 years after 9/11. Math is hard. And it's like so much of the fear and everything of it is based in that 9/11, post 9/11 kind of fear that was, that we faced and everything. And it's just, I don't know, something about that just feels incongruous. My friend Evan over at Midwest Film Journal and the IFJA, he was a guest on, last December. He wrote a really good write-up about it. I'll put a link in the show notes, but
okay.
it just didn't really sit well with me, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Also, the cast is really interesting. Particularly, the kid who plays his kid is Justin Chatwin.
Yeah. I remember that.
I didn't remember that.
And Dakota Fanning, right?
Dakota Fanning. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's War of the Worlds. Do you want to round us out for Potpourri?
Yeah, this will be brief, but I think you'll appreciate it, and maybe scold me a little bit. But
okay.
I actually watched the movie Inside Out for the first time.
Really?
Pixar movie. I had never watched it.
Wow.
For no reason.
Okay.
I just never had felt in the mood for like a kids animated movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me very sad.
Yeah.
And angry.
Nice.
And not joyful. My joy has gone. It has left.
God. I absolutely loved it, of course.
Nice.
I mean, I had no doubt that I was going to like it, but it was just a beautiful movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I really loved it. The part that I watched it with Paige, she had never seen it either.
Wow.
The part that we keep like referencing or coming back to is in the end when the girl, I don't even remember her name,
Riley.
Yeah. She's getting ready to go play a hockey game, and she like bumps into another boy, and it zooms into his head, and it's just like girl. Like we cry laughed at that.
So great.
It was so funny. So yeah, we keep referencing that part of the movie.
Nice.
But man, it was the creativity of that story is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Sorry for the pun. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing that somebody thought that up.
Yep.
And the detail of it and all of the facets of what a person's brain can be like, and how you can lose memories, and the idea of a core memory and all that is just so. It's really fascinating, first of all, but really just beautiful. Frankly, that's the best word for it.
Absolutely.
I really loved it.
It's one of those Pixar movies that does what Pixar does best in taking a very complex, emotional kind of thing and contextualizing it into an easy to understand kind of magical world that they inhabit. And this is probably like the most direct utilization of that talent of Pixar, because it is a very complex kind of thing. Like, it's the complexity of human emotion and of a preteen, of an adolescent girl, is like insanely complex, and they narrow it down to such an easy to understand thing. And that's one of the things that I know a lot of people said when it came out, is that this is a movie that is a teaching tool for kids too. Like, it's teaching kids, like, oh, this is how you understand, like, how this is like, it gives a shorthand for kids to communicate their emotions in very plain ways, and it's just amazing.
It is.
Yeah. And just the use of color, like it's so colorful and just unique and amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I loved the sort of the conquering theme of the end of the film is that the character of Joy comes to the realization that good or like positive things can come from each emotion. Like, she doesn't have to be only happy all the time. Right. Which I think is, it's a fun thing to explore, and it's important. But I've sort of funneled that through the lens of art, enjoying art, because I feel like we have all these genres of art, specifically like movies. Like, that's what, that's why we're here.
Right.
But like, I think my favorite genre of movies is just like straight dramatic movies. That's what really jumps out to me, and drama can be really sad.
Yeah.
And my wife is the exact opposite. She like, I always think of the movie like Schindler's List. Like, oh yeah, it makes you feel terrible, right? But I fucking love that movie. Yeah. And it's I enjoy the way it makes me feel, even though it makes me cry and it makes me sad. I still find enjoyment and value in it. Yeah. And she's the opposite. Like, she's never seen that movie. Wow. And she doesn't like to watch like the dramatic, sad movie. Like, I kind of had to talk her into watching Midway, even though she likes action movies. Right. But she's like, oh, it's a war movie though. Like, a bunch of people are going to die. It's going to be sad. I don't know. She really loves to watch comedy. Comedy is her jam. And she likes documentaries as well. But and you can even another kind of jump is like horror. Like, I'm not much of a horror fan, but like, I know you and Mike, especially Mike, right, are big fans, and it's like, I totally get why being scared or terrified of something can be very positive. Right. It's the same reason why people go to haunted houses and stuff like that. It just, I love that it explored that, how every emotion can have value. Yes. That's a really incredible thing. Yeah, I love it for that. Did you watch it because I brought it up in my incessant? No, it was Paige's idea. Okay, nice. Yeah. I think we watched it on Ear Voodoo though. Oh, really? I think that's how we watched it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's on Disney Plus. So. Oh, that may be how we watched it. Disney Plus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Well, I think that will do it. Yeah, that was a good potpourri. It was good to have you back. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you've forgiven me. I don't know. Anyway, so next time on the podcast, I'm going to have Fecus on for a very special episode. Ooh. Because Fecus has COVID-19. He does. Yeah. He's okay. He's fine. But I'm looking forward to doing like really stupid jokes. So many jokes and puns. He's going to be so annoyed. It's going to be good. Like, I'm hoping that I pull the trigger on this, but I want to say, like, I want to break into it. I might actually in post
break into the episode and just do like a thing. Phone lines are open now for the Robert Feckus relief, COVID relief fund. Go to paypal.me/obsessive viewer and make a donation.
Nice.
None of it will go to Feckus, but he needs this now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, really stupid episode, but we're going to be reviewing Palm Springs. That's on Hulu, and we're going to be talking about The Old Guard, which is on Netflix. We're getting into this groove on Obsessive Viewer where we're doing like 2 reviews a week or 2 reviews an episode, and I'm kind of liking that.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, next time you're on, we'll have to pick 2 movies and review them.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, well, that'll do it for this episode of The Obsessive Viewer. Thank you guys so much for listening. Once again, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. All you have to do, donate a minimum or pledge a minimum of $1 per month. You can pledge more, but $1 per month gets you access to an exclusive RSS feed that you'll hear a clip from here in a second. But we have tons of content there that is a lot of fun, just us riffing and doing stupid B-roll stuff. Yeah, it's really worth it. Go check it out. Patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Also check out our other shows, Anthology and Tower Junkies. And yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Tiny, any parting thoughts?
Nope.
All right, well, I'll talk to you in another 3 months. And thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. And now, here's a short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. To hear the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy. And I want to basically bring it down to like, okay, 3 different tiers. One for this is the outline for it, guys. One for this feed that you're listening to. One for video reviews that we'll do whenever theaters open back up and everything. Mm-hmm. And then the, I think, $10 Founding Father without a father. Yeah.
Got a lot farther by working a lot harder and being a self-starter. Being a lot smarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
14.
They placed him in charge of a trading charter. Yeah. Jesus.
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny. And follow our recurring co-hosts at I am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Feckus, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, T-E-E, public.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktoberInIrvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering The Twilight Zone and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, The Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!